Hello friends, today I'm going to dive into the topic of what does a lease option mean in real estate. So what do lease options mean when it comes to real estate? Well, by the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of lease options and how it will allow you to leverage this strategy effectively. Whether you're aiming to invest in real estate, to sell your property, or acquire a home with flexibility, I'll show you how a lease option can be right for you and even demonstrate a strategy that will require little to no money out of your pocket. So how can a lease option actually benefit you in today's real estate market? What are the strategic advantages and potential risks involved? And how can those be navigated in order to reach a beneficial deal? Well, let's dive all in. And we're gonna first dive into the components of lease option. Second, I'm gonna explain how a lease option can benefit buyer and seller. And finally, I wanna show you the strategy that can actually benefit you in today's market that will require you not to even own a piece of property and take little to no money out of your pocket. If you're ready, let's go. So in order to even first make money with lease options, we have to understand what they are and what components make up lease options. So a lease option is essentially, it gives the seller the option or right to sell a piece of property at a certain date in the future at a certain price. And conversely, it gives the buyer the right or option to buy a property at a certain price down the road, or a rent to own strategy is also what lease options are called. Now, there are crucial components to a lease option, the first being the purchase price, right? So whenever you enter into a purchase and sales agreement, you negotiate on the price. A lease option is no different. The only difference is whatever price you agree upon is set day one, and you will execute at that price at the end of the term, whether it's 12 months, 24 months, or 36 months, but the purchase price is negotiated up front. So the second component is the option price. So that option price is paid up front, and it gives you the right to buy that home at a certain date in the future. A lot of people will have heard the term a stock option, and most people are more familiar with that. They might not understand exactly what it means, but a stock option, you pay up front for the option to buy a stock at a certain date in the future at a certain price. So let's say that there's a stock that costs right now $30, and you want the option to buy it at $30 6 months from now, and you believe the price of that stock is going to go up. So you pay some money up front for the option to buy that stock 6 months from now at $30. And let's say it goes up to $40, you execute on that option, you buy it for $30, and you can turn around and sell it the very next day at $40. So you'll make profit there. If the price of that option goes down, you lose the money you paid for that option price. Not the $30, but the option that you paid up front to be able to secure you buying it at $30. And a lease option works the exact same way. You pay that option money up front, and it is typically 2 to 7% of the purchase price. So if you're looking at a home that costs $200,000 and you're looking at 2% is $4,000 or 7% is $14,000, and it can be negotiated anywhere along that spectrum, even lower or higher, depending on the negotiating process between the buyer and the seller. Another component is the monthly price, the monthly payment, right? And that's for any rental. There's a rental price to live in the home. But the cool thing about a lease option is you can take a portion of that monthly payment that you're paying and count that towards your down payment, and that's all negotiated. So let's say that you're paying, say, $1,500 a month to live in the home, and you negotiate $100 a month of that's going to go towards your down payment at the end of the lease term. So let's say it's a 2-year lease, and $100 a month times 24, that's $2,400 you get to utilize towards your down payment of the home, as well as the option price that you paid up front. Let's say it was $2,000. You get to utilize the $2,000 that you paid for the option price, plus the $2,400 you accumulated over the term of the lease payment that was counted towards your down payment. So you now have, as a buyer, $4,400 to utilize towards your down payment. Now, if you're the seller and the buyer doesn't execute after that 2-year period of time, you keep the option price and do not have to pay it back. No obligation. And obviously there's the term, right? Whether it's 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, that's pretty basic, pretty simple. Now here's the cool thing is you can make money on every single component. There could be a profit center on every component of a lease option. And I'll show you exactly how to do that in just a second. Why is it a good option for a buyer? Well, as a buyer, you can test drive a home, right? You can get into a home. Let's say that your financial house isn't quite in order. You're self-employed. There's a lot of different options of maybe why you can't get a traditional bank loan. So you engage in a lease option rather than trying to go out and buy a home at the end of you renting a home. That becomes cumbersome and it's difficult. It's one more thing added to your plate. But if you know the home that you want to buy and you say, listen, I'll buy it from you. I just can't close until 12 months from now or 24 months from now. that is a great thing for a buyer, be able to live in that home and knowing that all that you do to better that home is going to be yours in 12 months or 24 months. So it's a great option in that regard. So for a seller, how does this strategy benefit them? Well, if it's a challenging market and there isn't a ton of inventory moving, you want somebody else to pay for your mortgage, right? You don't want to be taking on those expenses. So you can get somebody in you could rent long-term, or you could get somebody else on a lease option that says, listen, I'll rent this to you, but I'll give you the chance to own this home 12 months from now or 24 months from now. And that's all negotiated in that lease option. But it's a great alternative than trying to sell your home right now if not a lot of inventory is moving. And as a seller, they give you the option money up front to buy that home at a certain date in the future. And if they do not execute, like I said, you keep that money. So it safeguards you as a seller just in case they back out of the deal. Plus, they've been making all of your payments every single month through that lease payment that you have in place. So how can the strategy work in today's economy, right? It doesn't seem like there's a lot of stuff moving. I really believe there's a lot of people on the sideline that are waiting to buy a home, but I think they might buy a home if they knew they could buy it 12 months from now or 24 months from now. And rather than sitting on the sideline, they get into the home they actually want to buy. They just negotiate the price, the sales price right now on that home. And from the seller's perspective, right, it could be something where, like I said, not a lot of inventory is moving, so you can get somebody in the home right now. So buyer and seller both benefit from this lease option strategy. Now, the question I always get asked, as a real estate investor, how can I utilize this strategy to make money? And there's strategies that if you own the home or you buy the property outright, it works out great. However, many people come to my channel, they ask me, how can I utilize a strategy, or what's a strategy that you would recommend that I can take little to no money out of my pocket? And this strategy is for you. And guess what? You don't even have to own the home. And it's called a sandwich lease option. It's a great tool. Let me show you exactly how it works. So as I talked about, there's a lot of different components of a lease option. Let's start with the first one. It is the purchase price. Let's say that I find a home that I want and I go to that seller and I say, listen, I will buy that home from you at $325,000 2 years down the road. So the first thing I've done is negotiated the purchase price, $325,000. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to find a seller out there on the market. So I'm going to go out there and find a seller on the market. Let's say I find somebody, and I promise there's ways to find these people on Facebook Marketplace, especially there's always investors that are on there. And if you say, listen, I've got a property you can come into, little money down, lease to own, or you can get to somebody else to lease to own, and here's the price. Let's say we get somebody in there at $350,000. So it's $25,000 more than what I got it under contract for. So I'm going to make a profit there, which I'll explain. The next component is the option payment. For me to buy that home at $325,000 2 years from now, I've got to pay him something up front, and I've negotiated $3,000. But if I go to my buyer and I say, listen, you can get it at $350,000 2 years down the road, the cost for you up front is $10,000. But that's obviously counted towards the purchase price as part of the down payment. So there's the difference there, which I'll talk about in a second. And the other profit center is the monthly payment. And I've negotiated the monthly payment at $2,500. And I've then leased it at the rental price of $2,700 a month to the buyer who I'm selling it to. And the term is 2 years. So let's look at each component as a profit center. So let's start with the option price. I've got it at $3,000. I pay them $3,000. I get $10,000, or I could even utilize their $10,000 to give them $3,000. I've made $7,000 on the option price. That's profit center number one. Profit center number two is the monthly payment, where I am leasing it out to somebody else for $200 more a month over a 2 year period of time. That's $4,800 in profit that I'm making. Profit center number three is the purchase price. But here's the thing, I know it's $25,000 there, but I'm counting $3,000 towards my purchase price as my down payment. So that leaves $322,000 that I have to pay the seller. And the option price in this scenario is the purchase price is $350,000, but I discount that $10,000 they gave me. What's left owed to me is $340,000. If I subtract $322,000 from $340,000, that leaves me $18,000. So profit center number three is the purchase price. It's $18,000. Total profit on this one lease option deal that I did not own, that I took very little, if any, money out of my pocket, is nearly $30,000. $29,800 on a piece of property that I didn't even own and very little to no money out of my pocket. This strategy works fantastic, just not a lot of people know about it. And it's something that I've utilized with a larger priced home, but I've also done it with some homes that I'm looking right now in the Midwest for a lot less money. And it works really well in these scenarios. And I'd encourage you to go out and look and see what you can do in this scenario, because there's very little risk. You could even have a period of time baked into the lease agreement that it's not executable until 10 days after you do some due diligence. diligence, right? And that gives you time to go find somebody. It could even be 30 days. So it's a great strategy. I'd love to know what you've done or what strategy you've seen with lease options. So please comment below. Let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, just for stopping by, I've got a free gift for you, 100% free, no obligation. It's aaron'sfreetraining.com. It is a short-term rental calculator. You put in the price of the home, the income, the expenses, and it will actually spit out to you whether it's a good deal or not, and it's 100% free. And once again, I appreciate you stopping by. Have an amazing day.